So it's kind of just a quick high-level overview of what forgivable loans are in general. We thought we would go through a couple of our newer ones and popular ones just to give you an idea of what's out there. So the Vermont Nursing Forgivable Loan program was very popular this current year, actually, 2023-2024. We had many more applications than we were able to award, and we've awarded all available funds for 23-24. This program provides up to full in-state tuition at Vermont public institutions and up to 16,280 at Vermont private and out-of-state institutions. Students can be enrolled in a one-year LPN certificate, an associate's or a bachelor's degree, or even graduate nursing degree programs. It is available to Vermont residents or not Vermont residents. They just have to commit to working in Vermont as a nurse for 1 year following licensure for each year that they received funding. So this program has been running for many years. In the last couple of years, the award amounts have increased, making this a very, very popular program with students. Another newer program, this came out of was first available last year for 22-23, is a Vermont Trades Forgivable Loan. This provides up to full tuition for recipients up to $23,000 on the tuition side of the Vermont Trades Forgivable Loan, and then up to $2,000 that will cover exam fees and licensing fees. So students need to be enrolled in an industry recognized training or certificate program, so 1 or 2 year degree or certificate programs that lead to initial employment or career advancement in a sector that's considered high demand in Vermont. So lots of sectors can be covered there. We're seeing linemen, welding, paramedics, EMTs, things like that. Again, this is open to Vermont residents and non-Vermont residents. They need to work in Vermont for 1 year following their licensure or certification in the field that they received the trades funds for. Move on to Vermont Mental Health Professional Forgivable Loan. This is another new program. This is new for this year. This is available to students enrolled in master's degree programs and in any of those that are listed there. The program that they're enrolled in must allow them to sit for one of the 3 licensing exams there. So as long as they're enrolled in one of those master's degree programs and will sit for one of those licensure exams, the student could be eligible for up to full tuition, which is $17,628. And most of these programs, at least tuition, Vermont Trades can only be used for tuition, but nurse and mental health, next ones that I'm going to talk about, the award amount is tuition up to that dollar amount, but the student can use those funds for room, board, books, and supplies. Again, open to Vermont residents, non-Vermont residents, and the students need to work full-time as a mental health professional in Vermont for a minimum of 1 year following licensure. So something to note with this, we understand that to gain licensure as a mental health professional, that takes a considerable number of hours. And we understand that. So we know that students will finish their program, but then they're going to be working the hours towards their licensure. These students will not become due for repayment during that time. That's still considered working towards that licensure. And then once they have their license, the time that they're working in Vermont will start. The counter will start at that point. And another program available to graduate students is the Vermont Nurse Faculty Forgivable Loan. So this is designed to increase the nursing faculty throughout Vermont. So it's available to students enrolled in graduate programs in nursing that will allow them to teach at a nursing school in Vermont. It's full tuition up to the $16,280. Again, it can be used for room, board, books, and supplies. Still available to Vermont and non-Vermont residents, and the students agreeing to working full-time as a member of the nurse faculty at a nursing school in Vermont for 1 year, for every year that they receive the funds. And then lastly is our Vermont Teacher Forgivable Loan. This is available to students enrolled in a teaching program at an eligible school that'll lead them to a degree or a certificate in education and a teaching license. They're agreeing to work full-time as a teacher in a Vermont public school for a minimum of 1 year. And it's encouraging students to pursue teaching professions with an emphasis on encouraging Black, Indigenous, and persons of color, New Americans, and other historically underrepresented communities to become teachers. This is brand new this year. Again, available to Vermont and non-Vermont residents. So for all of these programs, we do have funding still remaining for the current school year for 23-24. So if you know of any students that may qualify for any one of these programs that are planning on staying and working in Vermont, please let them know about those. And then all of them are available for funding. The legislature determines funding every year, but they all are currently listed in our 24-25 Scholarships for Vermonters booklet. So students can apply for them using the Unified Scholarship application. And as long as funding remains available, then when we determine eligibility in April and notify students of scholarship eligibility, we would let them know then for the next school year.
Miranda, we've had a couple of questions come in through the chat that I wanted to save until after you've talked about all of the forgivable loans. So I'm hoping I can jump in with them now. I'm going to combine a couple of them when I ask you them. First one is, how do they, I'm assuming the students, know what programs could use which loan program? And at the same time, are there lists of different sectors available that people could reference?
Most of the programs, with the exception of trades, are pretty specific for the major that the student should be enrolled in. So, for example, teacher requires that you're in a teaching program, and mental health requires that you're in one of those graduate mental health programs. But trades can overlap a little bit with nursing, maybe, or perhaps maybe early childhood education, where maybe teacher may not necessarily qualify if you're not teaching in a public school. So you can always call us. Their student can always call us for us to kind of tease out what exactly they're planning on doing. And then specific for trade sectors, we actually use the Department of Labor's high demand career list, and that's how we decide. They have a much smaller list of declining career popular areas, and then a pretty large kind of increasing or high demand career list that we use.
Thank you for that, Miranda. I'm going to read the next question as it was typed. Are you giving students any sort of notification about the interest-free forgivable loans after they fill out the USA, since that part opened in October, but the FAFSA doesn't open until December? I know they have to fill out both as part of the process.
Yes, so we're still determining a communication plan for students that may be applying now and may need the FAFSA as part of any of their scholarships. So for what I anticipate is, if a student has applied for a scholarship that has a financial need component that requires the FAFSA, we will likely do some sort of email campaign out to students to let them know, hey, we have received your application. Whenever the FAFSA is available, the FAFSA is now available. Please go ahead and complete it by and make sure we get the deadline. Is that the question?
I think so. I'll circle back if it does come back up in the chat. On the next one, I think second to last, I want to surface right now is going to be two-part. Are these loans only used at Vermont colleges? And then a second part is unrelated. Could the nurse faculty forgivable loan be forgiven if the graduate teaches at a high school CTE nurses program? I know it's kind of in the weeds.
Right. Yep, no, good question. Yes, most of these all of these that we covered today can be used at out-of-state institutions. Um, the amount may still be capped. So if it's tuition and their tuition is higher than the 16,280, for example, it'll be capped at the 16,280. And nurse faculty does have to be at a nursing college or university in Vermont, which is limiting, I understand.
Thank you for that. And the last one, I'm not sure if it's going to be better directed to you or Kirsten, but someone's interested in hearing about the best possible method to connect a student with a financial aid coach or counselor.
I think that is a good one for us to circle back to by the end of the presentation, because we're going to go through various ways that you could connect with a support or counselor, depending on kind of what it is you or a student or a family is going to navigate. So let's circle back to that at the end.
Thank you, Kirsten. Actually, we had one final question. I'm so sorry to keep us here. This is an excellent question that I think would be worth surfacing. How soon for the 24-25 school year will we know from the Vermont Department of Labor what trade programs would be or could be considered high demand?
So this past year, we did not receive a list until June or July, but of 23. What we did when we were, because we wanted to begin awarding trades, is we just used the prior year's list. And if there was anything that was kind of questionable, we held off awarding those students until we received the updated list. I expect maybe we'll receive it sooner this year, but if we don't, there's a fallback. We'll just use the prior year's list.